Okay, these are express corrections, fast corrections on the domain and range mini star. We will go through all of the questions because, even if you got one right, it's possible that maybe you made an educated guess. So I think there's room for improvement for just about everybody. Number 1 says the total cost of attending the State Fair of Texas for one person can be found using the function c of x is equal to 0.5x plus 16, where x is the number of 50-cent coupons used for rides at the fair after paying $16 for general admission. All right, and they're asking what is the domain of the function for this situation? Well, I have a feeling that some of you struggled because you simply don't remember what an integer is and what a real number is. So, integers are whole numbers and their opposites. So, for instance, here, okay? These are whole numbers and their opposites, okay? Real numbers are pretty much any type of number that you have learned so far in your life. They're all real numbers. When you get into some higher math, there's going to be some crazy, like, imaginary numbers, but you don't even know about those yet. Everything that you have learned about, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, irrational numbers, like square roots and stuff, all of those are real numbers, okay? So first of all, write those down because it's important that you know what an integer and a real number is so that we can figure out what's going on in this question. Then I need to remember domain is my set of x values, okay? Range would be my set of y values, and in this case that would be cost. If I buy 0 tickets, for the little rides, I still pay $16. If I buy 1 ticket, I'm going to pay $16.50. If I buy 2 tickets, I'll pay $17, etc. Now, let's figure out, do integers or real numbers make sense here? I don't know. Could I buy the square root of 2 tickets? No, that doesn't make sense. I'm either going to buy 0 tickets, 1 ticket, 2 tickets, 3 tickets, 4 tickets. So I'm going to buy 0, 1, 2, 3. That would be integers greater than or equal to 0. Because remember, integers are whole number and their opposites. The opposites don't make sense, but the other part does. So integers greater than or equal to 0. That's probably our answer, but let's look at the other ones. All real numbers greater than or equal to 0. Again, that's not great because I'm not going to buy 0.5 tickets. I'm not going to buy 2/3 of a ticket. I'm not going to buy the square root of 5 tickets. Okay, so it's not going to be real numbers. Okay, all real numbers. Nope. All integers greater than or equal to 16. Okay, 16, they're trying to be like, hey, it's 16. But 16 is the smallest range value, and they're asking about domain. So range starts at 16. The only thing that makes sense is answer A. Okay, you've got to remember what integers and real numbers are. All right, let's go to the next one. Number 2, the graph of part of a linear function h is shown on the coordinate grid. Which inequality best represents the domain of the part shown? Again, domain is your x values. So I'm looking at from this x value over to this x value. This is colored in, so it's going to be or equal to. So over here, this is x is greater than or equal to -6. And over here, x is less than +8. And I'm not going to say less than or equal to because this is open. So no equal to, okay? Here I can have greater than or less than or equal to, okay? Because it's colored in. All right, so let's go hunting and see what our choices are. All real numbers. Nope, because it does not go further and further to the left and further to the right. All real numbers greater than -6 and less than 8. All right. The less than 8 part is fine, but this should say greater than or equal to -6. So let's keep looking. All right, I think we found our answers. All real numbers greater than or equal to -6. X is greater than or equal to -6. And X is less than 8. And I think that's what we had over here. X is greater than or equal to -6. X is less than -8. Okay. All real numbers greater than -3 and less than or equal to 6. I think what they did there is they looked at range values. Okay, so tried to throw you off with that. All right, number 3. All right. The function f of x is equal to 2x plus 4 is restricted to a domain interval of. So here is your domain, set of x values. Is the domain over the interval continuous or discrete, and what is the range of the function? Okay, continuous. This is the way they're going to write a continuous domain. A discrete domain would look like this. So this is just an example. -2, comma, -1, 0, comma, 1, comma, 2. Okay? So it'd be written like this if it was discrete. It's written like this, so it's continuous. Okay? So coming over here, I need continuous, so I'm down to C and D. And then I'm going to put some domain values in here to get some range values. So 2 times when x is -2 plus 4, that's going to give me a range value of 0. 2 times +2 plus 4, that's going to give me a range value of 8. So my range values, remember, or my y values, are going to be, y's are greater than or equal to 8, but less than or equal to, greater than or equal to 0, I can't read, less than or equal to 8. Okay? And already I kind of know that this one's the correct one because number 1, it says continuous, and this is the only one of the 2 choices left that have the y values in the middle. Remember, we're looking for range. If they state range and then they put an x, that's not okay, because x's are domain. All right, so I'm glad I explained the continuous versus discrete. Remember, if I need a discrete domain or range, it's numbers separated by commas like this. Okay, let's look at number 4. Mr. Freeman gave his students a 10-problem multiple choice quiz. He gave students 10 points for each correct answer with no partial credit. That's important. The graph shows scores a student could get on the quiz as a function of x, the number of questions they answered correctly on the quiz. Okay, so first of all, your domain is what's being asked for. That's your set of x values. What is the possible set of x values? Well, you can get 0 questions correct. You can get 1 question correct, all the way up to getting 10 questions correct. Okay? And is the function continuous or discrete? Well, this one is discrete because they've already said there's no partial credit. So it's not like you're going to get 1.17 questions right. You're either going to get 1 question or 2 questions or 3 or 4 or whatever. Okay, so let's look. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That looks good. And it's discrete. It might be A, but let's check out our other answers. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Those are your grades. That's the range. Okay, but it would be discrete too, but it's not the correct answer because they are asking for domain. Okay, range is over here. Your scores. X is greater than or equal to 0, but less than or equal to 100. Again, that's a range number, and it's not continuous. Okay? This is a domain number, but we've already said the domain is discrete. So the only answer choice that makes sense is A. All right, number 5 is similar to one we just did, except for this time it asks about range rather than domain. The graph of a linear function is shown on the coordinate grid. Which inequality best represents the range of this function? Mangy, rangy, mangy, rangy, those are y values. Okay, so we're going to go from here all the way up to here. Okay, so y values here. It's closed, so the y's are going to be less than or equal to 8. Down here, it's open, so its y is greater than -9. Okay, so put these two together. Y is greater than -9, but y is less than or equal to 8, or I mean, you could actually greater than -9, less than or equal to -8. Those both say the same thing. So let's go shopping for an answer. This right here, such that, or the set of, and then this fancy dancy R, real numbers. So is the range the set of real numbers? No, it does not. The range is not all real numbers. The range is y is greater than -9, but less than or equal to, oh, why did I put 8? -8, silly goose. Okay. Y is greater than -9, and y is less than or equal to +8. So there's your answer. Okay. All right. Like I said, I don't like this because that looks more like a doily doodly thing than an R, but that's supposed to be kind of a cursive fancy R, which stands for real numbers.